Hi, and for everybody who's here, we're recording this event. For everybody on Zoom, we're recording this event. So if you're in the front of this computer, you will be on screen, just telling you, fair warning. Welcome to this training for Canvas for No On Recall. Thank you all for coming. For those of you who aren't here, we have, I would say, about 15 people, not counting the electeds next to me and behind me. Oh, okay. We have about 50 people in my backyard, right? All of them standing, waiting to be trained. I'm Sue Himmelrich. I'm the mayor of Santa Monica. And my husband, Michael, who you probably have been in contact with because he organized this event, should be standing next to me, but he's too busy continuing to organize this event. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on formalities or introductions because our job here is to get to work. This recall is perhaps the most significant existential crisis we faced since 2016. So I really encourage all of you to get geared up the way we did for 2018, the way we did in 2008, the way we've been doing over and over and over again. This is not a fire drill. This is the real thing. And on that note, let me introduce my great friend, Tony Vazquez, who deserted me on the city council and is now chair of the Board of Equalization. So I'm mad at him, but it's okay. Tony, welcome, and here you go.
Thank you, thank you. And thank you to all those that came out this morning and those that are, I guess, viewing this as well on Zoom. Sure, well, you're welcome to sit wherever you want. At the end of the day, this is all about extra turnout. The vote, you know, everybody's talking about California being such a hard democratic state, which it is. But at the end of the day, if people don't vote, it's going to be difficult. And I keep telling people, you got 40 people on this ballot, and there's about 5 or 6 Republicans that are pretty well funded that are all they're pushing is, you know, recall. We got to recall the governor. So our job is very difficult, even though I think we have enough Democrats that we turn them out. And I think the key in what you're all doing today is very powerful, because there's nothing like knocking on doors. And I know many of you are taking and adopting your precinct like myself. I'm in Sunset Park. I think if everybody adopts their precinct, those that are here and those that are online, we can win this thing. And it's happening up and down the state. I was on a Zoom call just last week with the governor and the Latino caucus up in Sacramento, and they're breaking it down. I mean, we have 29 members between the Senate and the Assembly. And if everybody takes responsibility in their respective areas, we can win this thing. Just want to thank you all and thank the mayor and of course Michael for hosting us here today here in Santa Monica. And it's been a pleasure working with my mayor here. And now I'm just looking forward to hopefully keeping our governor in and making him stronger so this next 4 years we can get to the real issues that we're talking about. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you all, and I think you're seeing how significant this push is. And let me just say that while Ben Allen has been here many times before, our state senator, Ben Allen, it's not often that I've seen him come out to canvass, but he is here today to canvass his neighborhood. And I think that all of the electeds, all of the Democratic electeds in the state are taking this seriously. I appreciate Ben being here. I appreciate Tony being here. I think every elected, every Democratic elected, every elected who cares about this remaining a democratic state needs to be walking their own neighborhood and encouraging their constituents to come out. So Ben, thanks.
Thank you, Sue. I really appreciate everybody being here and all the folks who are online who are going to be helping us in the next couple of weeks. This is a very serious situation. There's no question about it. If you look at the polling, it's looking very close. And think about the consequences of what this might mean. We all care about everything that's been happening globally, nationally. If God forbid Larry Elder were to become governor of the state of California, which is a very distinct possibility, imagine if something terrible were to happen to Dianne Feinstein over the next couple of years. All of a sudden, that alone would flip the U.S. Senate to Mitch McConnell and to the troglodytes who have caused so much trouble at the national level. Think about the consequences on so many different levels. The work that we're doing on expanding civil rights and environmental protections and access to healthcare and criminal justice reforms and all the issues that we care about so much as Democrats. the interesting thing is, usually this club is involved with trying to organize folks all over the country. We've been making phone calls into Florida, into Wisconsin during the last presidential election. A couple of years earlier, we were sending people down to Orange County and North County. That was amazingly close. The crazy thing is this year, ground zero for the most important election, bar none, of 2021 in the nation is places like Santa Monica. Because if you think about it, usually communities like this, they're slam dunks for Democrats to Congress and to the state legislature. But the issue this time around is driving Democratic base turnout. The only reason why we're even in this situation right now is because the folks on the right are all fired up. They think the election was stolen. They're fired up by QAnon conspiracy and all the madness that's being spread by Newsmax and Fox News and all of that. They're energized, they're excited. They're the only reason why we're even having this conversation right now. The Democratic base is focused on other things. We just had a really contentious, tough, difficult election last year. People are focused on COVID. People are focused on getting the schools restarted. We're focused on trying to get our economy going again, even as the Delta variant re-enters into our lives. And we need Democrats to turn out. We need Democrats to know about this. We need them to be, thinking about this. We need them to vote. And it's communities like this where we have most bang for buck. We know Santa Monica is a solidly blue city. And in the end of the day, every door we knock on has a high level of chance to turn out a vote against this ridiculous $267 million taxpayer-funded right-wing recall. And so the work, so isn't it a great opportunity for us to actually be able to be in our own backyard, right here in the city of Santa Monica? We're not going to Tucson. We're not even going to Yorba Linda. We're right here in Santa Monica, which is ground zero for this effort. It's all about Democratic base turnout. It's all about getting our fellow Democrats to know about this election and to turn in that ballot. Everybody's been sent a ballot by mail. We're going to have 3 active vote centers, maybe even 4 here in the city of Santa Monica, which will be open for, I think, about 10 days before election day. So there's lots of opportunities for people to vote. It's an easy process. We try to make it as open, as accessible, and as easy as possible. But we need people to get those ballots back in. And that's where you come in. Your work today, your work over the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be organizing more of these events. And I just want to give a shout out to my team. A lot of folks from my team are here. Davis Hahn, who of course has helped to run our efforts locally for many years now. Brad, Sam. So David, we're going to be doing some more get out the vote efforts, both making phone calls, doing more walks, but focusing on our core base constituencies, communities just like Santa Monica. And so please help us. I can't tell you how close we are right now to having a guy suddenly become governor who has made outrageous statements about women, including the fact that we ought to be able to fire women just because they get pregnant. He's called climate change a hoax. He's thinks the election was, he's buying into all the worst conspiracy theories. And this guy is extraordinarily close to becoming governor of the state of California. And I don't mean to sound hyperbolic, it's real. It's just because of this crazy vulnerability that we have in our system. And believe me, we need to fix this. We need to make sure that it's not as easy to do this. I mean, the fact is that only a third of John Cox's voters had to sign this petition to make this thing happen. And now, as we know, it's a first past the post system. And so a guy who really plays to the hardcore reactionary right-wing bigoted base of the Republican Party can somehow come in first and end up as our governor. And that means Larry Elder control over the California EPA. That means Larry Elder control over our Medi-Cal system. It's not a pretty picture. We have to stop this. We have to push it back. We have to fight it. And it's all going to be about letting people in our communities know how important it is to vote and to turn out and to vote against this ridiculous recall. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this effort. We're going to be very engaged in turning out people in this area over the next couple of weeks. This is a very important thing you're doing to help to preserve and protect California and ultimately American democracy. So thank you everybody for being here. Let's turn out the vote.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben, and thanks for fleshing out this issue for us. Well, this is a great opportunity across our state for Democrats to come together. I mean, we're often accused of eating our young, and I think that this is a chance for all of us as Democrats to really unite as a team and make something happen. And on that note, let me introduce my assembly member, Richard Bloom, who has not been here before, right? And we're sometimes together, we're sometimes against each other, but this is a great opportunity for us to be together and to work together because this is an essential defining issue. So thank you, Richard.
Welcome, Mayor. Happy to have you as my mayor. And thank you for hosting this. Thank you to Michael for being a host, and thank you to Ben for saying everything that needs to be said on this issue. Ben and I are lockstep on practically everything in Sacramento, and we know personally just how threatening this recall is because, I mean, you may hear people talking about, oh, you know, if we have a Republican government, we can overturn with a 2/3 vote. No, that's not going to happen because we have moderates in Sacramento who will tilt another way. We will not be able to pass progressive policy in Sacramento if this recall happens. It's that simple. And so many other things, negative things that will happen as a result of the recall. So I just want to echo what Ben said and thank you so much for being here. You're true blue in so many ways. You're the folks who will help our neighbors understand that ballot that's sitting on their kitchen counter right now because it came in the mail yesterday doesn't sit there. It actually gets filled out, it's checked no, and goes into the mail because we need every one of those votes. We should be scared. Look, we're kind of fighting a campaign here that's based on scaring people into voting because things could be so bad. It's true. They will be so bad if this vote goes in a negative way. So we need to, well, actually, that's the way we want to go in a negative way. We have to make sure that this is not just a win, but a resounding win so that it doesn't happen again. We got to knock these folks back, the Republicans who are pushing this because they want to use the recall as a way to take over California government, regardless of what the majority says. That's really what this is about. Regardless of what the majority has said in the election, they want to overturn those results. And if somebody wins by 20% of the vote because the recall goes the other way, then so be it. They don't give a crap about that. So every vote counts. The higher our vote total is on the no side, the better it is for the future. So let's get out the vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. And now I'm going to introduce the best trainer I personally have ever seen. We used to do phone banking at our house. During the pandemic, we shifted to phone banking online. I did a few trainings, and let me just say that I stopped doing them as soon as I saw John Katz, the president of the of our Santa Monica Democratic Club right here, do a training. So John is going to train you for today. I understand there are a lot of you who are learning how to canvass. That's great. I mean, I started doing this in 1970, canvassing. I think it's the best way to reach people. I encourage everybody to canvass their block, everybody, not just here, but everybody online. I think that we need to go back to block captains and basically holding our neighbors accountable for what happens in their community. So this is important. And John, thanks for being here.
Well, good morning, Democrats. I want to thank Mayor Himmelrich and Michael Soloff for hosting us at their home today. I also want to thank Senator Allen, Assemblymember Bloom, and Equalizer Vazquez for joining us. Glad to have everybody's support. I also want to shout out our elected Santa Monica College board member, Shai Roy, who's with us. And also a member of the DNC, Susie Shannon, who is here. And, some of you have been meeting for the first time today, but Susie are probably known longer than anybody, going back more than 10 years. So really glad to see you, Susie. Welcome to everybody who's joining us out here, out there, now,
watching later, you're all welcome. My name is John Katz. I'm the president of the Santa Monica Democratic Club. I'm also the vice chair of the West Side Democratic Headquarters, and I'll be leading the training today. I also want to again thank Mike Soloff for all the work he's doing behind the scenes, putting together the walk list. Okay. And I also want to thank our political VP, Dami Petoro, who as we speak is out on the promenade talking to more voters about this effort. This training today is part of a statewide effort in coordination with the California Democratic Party to get out the vote. So I want to thank Rusty Hicks, Mark Gonzalez, and the LA County Democratic Party staff for their incredible support to make this event possible. Today's agenda, we're going to go over the key voter information. We're going to go over how to canvass. I'm going to give some helpful tips. And then at the end, we'll take all the questions that anybody has here in person or on Zoom. If you're watching on Zoom, our Zoom captain is Anjali Kronheim Katz. She's taking a look at the chat. So you can feel free to put any questions you have in the chat, and Anjali will either answer them or pass them on to me at the end. Okay, so the recall ballot, most of you may have already got in the mail. You can see I already voted. There's 2 questions on the ballot. The first question, should Gavin Newsom be recalled? And the second question is, if he's recalled, who should succeed him? If more than 50% of the voters vote yes on that first question, then whoever leads the plurality vote in the second question will automatically become governor. And yes, as Senator Allen said, that could mean a conservative radio talk show host with less than 30% of the vote could wind up becoming the governor of the state.
He's in the lead.
So let's talk about Gavin Newsom's record as governor and what he's done since this horrible pandemic started. Well, first of all, the vaccination rates are among the highest in the United States. And going along with that, the COVID positivity rate is among the lowest in the United States. In fact, it's the lowest of all the big states. Governor Newsom also passed the Golden State Stimulus, which sent $600 cash payments to over 6 million California residents. And also passed the largest small business grant program in the United States. Governor Newsom expanded sick leave to all Californians during the pandemic and passed the strongest statewide eviction protection for renters during this pandemic. So every registered voter in the state has been mailed a ballot. You all should have gotten it by now. If not, it'll be coming in the next few days. August 16th was when they were mailed out. September 14th is election day, just a couple weeks away. And every ballot has to be returned, postmarked, sent in no later than September 14th. How to vote is very simple. Vote no on the recall, question number 1. Insert that into your return envelope, seal it, sign it, date it, put your address, complete all the info on the envelope, return it into a mailbox by September 14th. No stamp necessary, no answer on question 2 necessary. You can also return the ballot to the drop box in your area, a county elections office up in Norwalk, a voting center, or a precinct. For more information on where you can find those, you can go to vote.ca.gov or lavote.net. And you may want to write this down. This is the voter protection hotline, 877-321-VOTE. That line open now, starting this week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Anyone having trouble receiving their ballot or needs some question answered about how to fill it out if they made a mistake, 877-321-VOTE is the voter protection hotline. So as I mentioned earlier, we're part of the West Side Democratic headquarters. We have phone banking, we have texting, we have postcarding, we have tabling going on every single day. But canvassing is still the most effective way to reach voters because of the face-to-face conversations that you get to have when you're canvassing. Those face-to-face conversations we've all been missing over the past 1.5 to 2 years. And if we do this safely and appropriately, we'll be able to have those safe canvas conversations to make the difference in this election. Last week, we did a test on this program and we found that when we mentioned that we were the neighbors of the people we were talking to, it really boosted their reception and interest in listening to what we had to say. Today, we're going to be knocking on doors of homes that have at least one registered Democratic voter. So you may see on your list of there's a Democrat, a declined to state, and all of that. We're looking for that Democrat when we get to the door. What you need to go with you, most of you already have it. Some of you may need to stop at the front again if you don't have it yet. Or your walk list prepared by Mike Soloff, the literature to leave behind, a pen and a clipboard, and we recommend some comfortable shoes, water, and ideally a shirt that identifies you as a Democrat. I wore this LACDP shirt last week, and I think it really increased the number of people who opened the door because people are looking at their ring screen and they see a person
We need to get you a new shirt.
with this logo. Well, yeah, it shows you how many canvases I've done, and it's a little worn down. And we do have these vote shirts at the front. If you'd like to get a shirt like that, we can get you, if you're going out canvassing, we can get you one. So you'll receive in your packet a map of the precinct and several pages of voters organized by the side of the street. One page will have all the odd numbers. One page will have all the even numbers. Each address will list all the voters at that house, but you're only looking to speak to the Democrats. So when you get your list, you're going to divide up the pages among your team before starting. So you'll look at it, maybe there's 6 pages, maybe there's so many addresses. You'll say, okay, this person will do this side of the street, this person will do that side of the street, those two will go over there. You want to set up a plan in advance. For team safety, many people choose to have one person doing the even and one person doing the odds of the same street, so you can see each other as you go. And then at the end of the block, you catch up with each other and make sure everything's going smoothly. If it's your first time canvassing today, you may choose to actually double up and have 2 people knock on each door just to make sure you can help each other out and answer questions, especially at first, and maybe eventually you'll get comfortable and split up. You can cover more houses. Whatever works for your team is what you should do. Once you've set a plan, make sure you set a time and a place to meet inside the precinct at the end of the shift, whether it's in an hour and a half, 2 hours, you'll set a time to meet at the end. And make sure you've exchanged contact info with the other members of your team in case you need to text somebody. I could use some more flyers. I could use, hey, does anybody need help? I finished my list. It's a good thing to just communicate during the shift and help each other out. Okay, we want to approach every single door with your mask on. And if you're walking around an apartment building, keep your mask on the whole time you're in the perimeter inside that building. Keep it on because keep in mind you're walking around in somebody's home, in somebody's space, and they don't know that you're vaccinated, and so it's just best etiquette to keep the mask on. And also on the same note, we want to be walking on sidewalks and driveways, not people's lawns. Before you approach a voter's door, make sure you check your list and take a look at their name, their age, their gender identification, their party identification, whether they're permanently voting by mail All of that information is listed on your walk sheet, and it's great to know in advance because you know the disposition of the voter. You know who you're looking for. Once you knock or ring the doorbell, take a few steps back. Make sure you're communicating to the person, you're respecting your social distance, and that will make it more likely for them to open the door and maybe keep the screen door closed while you introduce yourself. If nobody answers the door, you'll take the flyer and leave it by the front door. We don't put it inside anybody's mailbox. We try to keep it as secure as possible along the front door so that they see it when they come home. Then on your sheet, you're going to mark not home or NH for that person, and you'll move on to the next address. If you are coming to an apartment building and you can't get in at all, you can try buzzing, the front gate, but if you can't get in at all, just write down gate. The same thing as not home, but we'll know not to have anybody go back because it'll be hard to get in. If somebody answers the door, you say, "Hi, my name is John. I'm a volunteer with the California Democratic Party." Or you could say, "I'm a volunteer with the Santa Monica Democratic Club. Is this person's name available?" If not, you mark not home. If they are available, "Hi, we just wanted to make sure you knew about the recall and that you've gotten the ballot." And at this point, you're trying to confirm that they're a no vote, that they're planning to vote no. My experience is that when you frame it like that, we're with the Democrats and we're making sure you got the ballot, most of the people are going to volunteer right away. "Oh yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna vote no." That's great. Sometimes people will be a little cagey that I want to tell you. I think last weekend, one person said they supported the recall. Very low percentage on that for the people who are knocking. When you talk to someone who's confirmed to be a no vote, they're opposing the recall. First, you want to give them information about the voting deadline. Thank them for being a no vote. Let them know they have to return the ballot by September 14th. Ask them if they've already voted. If they haven't, you want to make a voting plan with them. How are they going to vote? Which method that we talked about earlier? Are they going to mail it? Are they going to go in person? Are they going to a drop box? Are they going to put it in a mailbox? When are they going to do that? The research shows that if you have the conversation with a voter about their voting plan, it makes it much more likely that they actually remember to drop that ballot off, because it's all well and good for them to oppose the recall, but until they turn their ballot in, it doesn't really matter what they think. So talking to them about how they're going to vote makes it much more likely that they do vote. Mark them down as a no vote on your list and move on to the next house. If they tell you they're going to vote yes on the recall, no need to get into an argument. No need to try to convince them otherwise. There's too many houses to hit. There's too many no votes that we can reach. Just mark them as a yes, thank them, and move on. No need to share when the voting deadline is. If they're unsure about how they're going to vote, ask them if they have any questions. Let them know why you are opposing the recall. Let them know why you're spending your free time on a weekend knocking on doors, why it's important to you. And let them know about the stakes. Like Senator Allen was talking about, what could happen if Larry Elder becomes governor? Try to get them to move to a no. If they're still unsure, mark them as undecided, no big deal, move on. If you think you've moved them to a no, great, mark them down as a no, thank them so much, and then go into the conversation about the deadline and the voting plan. At the end of your shift, you're going to arrange with your team to get all the walking papers back together, collect them, give them to one person from the team who will be responsible for returning those papers back to me or Mike Soloff whether that means coming back here to drop them off, scanning them in, emailing, whatever it is that you need to do. Okay, a few tips. The best response rate is when you're walking with the Democratic shirt or vote shirt. I got my I voted sticker on today. That's another indicator. Remind them that you're their neighbor, especially if you actually live within a couple blocks. It really goes a long way. When I told some people, oh, I live just down the street on Berkeley Street, they were like, oh, wow, that's great. They really appreciate that their neighbors are the ones doing this work. Another tip, a sign that says no solicitors does not apply to canvassing. We're not trying to sell anybody anything, so you're free to ignore that. If you see a sign that says no political canvassing, I guess you don't want to approach that door, but I've yet to come across that one. You're going to practice your answers to the frequently asked questions. So the questions that come up a lot, make sure you're familiar with why you oppose the recall. Make sure you're familiar with what to say if they ask you about question number 2, which is the easiest thing to do is just leave it blank. And if you're talking to a voter who wants to go on and on about question number 2, the best thing is to just move on. We don't have time to answer this question for everybody. And the easiest thing to do is to just simply leave it blank. But if they want to put up an argument with you and tell you why some Democrat is better than leaving it blank, say just great, move on to the next person. Final tip is stay hydrated. Bring a water bottle if you can. It's not that hot right now, but it might warm up later today, and you got to stay hydrated while you're out there. Out in the field with questions, you can call or text me or Mike Soloff. We'll be available the whole time. My number is 215-962-4357, and Mike Soloff's number is 310-963-0337. And I'll be available in person and on Zoom to answer your questions. And before we get to the questions, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that the next Santa Monica Democratic Club meeting is on Wednesday night at 6:30. We have Superintendent Tony Thurman coming, along with a lot of local Santa Monica school board members and Superintendent Drotti. We're going to be talking about the future of education. So please come by for that. And in the meantime, I'd like to answer all your questions. So if anyone has one, raise your hand. Yes.
If we want to vote in person, is there a precinct for the precinct that's on the list?
So if they want to vote in person, they can go to a voting center. Just like in 2020, there'll be all different voting centers around LA County, and they can go to the nearest one or the one nearest where they work or somewhere else.
So what if they don't know where it is?
Yeah, they can go to iwillvote.com, which will have the list, and also lavote.net should have that information as well. Yes.
Could you repeat your phone number?
Yes, my phone number is 215-962-4357.
Thank you. Your name?
My name is John Katz. Okay, and any other questions from the in-person group? Okay, let's see if anyone on Zoom. Anjali, any questions on Zoom? She's saying no. Okay, great. So let's break and get started. If you have any questions after we adjourn here, come let me know or Mike know. Otherwise, we'll send you out in the field. So thanks everybody for coming, and let's go Democrats and let's win this thing for Gavin.
Yeah.